with Andy Vogel, head coach at Gettysburg College, and the mastermind behind D3Wrestle.com. And basically, we're going to ask you a couple questions in terms of basically one question in particular: who's going to win and why?
It's hard to say at this point. I mean, number one and number two had a couple of really close dual meets, but I think it's going to just come down to who has the best 2 days here and puts the most guys into the All-American round. At this point, I'd say it's anybody's tournament, provided you're Wartburg and Augsburg. I think Co has a chance to get some guys to overperform and make a run at it. And lacrosse obviously has a lot of top-level talent, so I think it's 4 teams really with a chance to win. And it's going to be fun.
Coming into the year, everybody was talk of, oh, this is the year the Bergs aren't going to do it, and all of a sudden, boom, national duels, Augsburg, Wartburg, rankings, Augsburg, Wartburg, and now you got the tournament. Co brings 10, Wartburg brings 10, Augsburg brings 9. You talked about Co overperforming as what needs to happen. They did that last year. What's to say they couldn't do it this year?
Well, I mean, nothing says that they can't do it. Everybody was saying that about the Wartburg and Augsburg, but again, they continue to reload and have their guys show up when it counts. I think they've got a real great culture of winning there. Co could do it again. I think they're a very talented team with a number of guys that could win the whole thing, and I think that's what it'll take to overtake them. Is the guys that can win for that meet too.
What wrestling fans might not be aware of is the Division III qualifier system, very similar to the old Division I, pre the at-large type of selections, where it's wild cards per conferences, certain conferences based on past performance. But as far as the brackets go in the seeding, what are some first-round matchups that just jumped right out at you, going, wow, these guys aren't seeded and they're meeting in the first round? I can think of 141 as an example.
Yeah, there's a couple at 141. I mean, you've got 2-time All-American Kelly going up in the first round, not seeded. Hasn't wrestled a ton this year, but again, he's been here twice and been on the podium twice. And then one to watch out for, I think, is Ryan Bridge in the first round against the number 1 seed, Batsuk from St. John's.
Returning national champion.
Yeah, returning national champ. That's going to be an interesting match to watch. It's hard to know what we have with Bridge, but he's awfully talented.
Well, it looks like we got. Go ahead, take your time getting through. We got a Hall of Famer can interrupt the interview. That's no problem.
I'm Travis.
Yeah.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah, we get some FaceTime here. These Lutheran Norths are everywhere. I mean, they're contagious, right, Andy? As far as the Iowa Conference goes, which Coach Mitchell and Luther just walked by here, what makes them so good? Is it just being surrounded by the best wrestling in Iowa, or the draw of the non-Iowa, Iowa State UNI kids? What makes the Iowa Conference perform?
Well, they do a great job pulling kind of those second-tier Iowa wrestlers. I mean, if you're not going to Iowa State, Northern Iowa, they're able to get a lot of those kids in. Obviously this part of the country wrestling is a big deal, and a lot of kids want to go wrestle in college, and a lot of kids want to stay in Iowa, so they have put together pretty serious programs and starting to take the sport very seriously for years and years, and they're able to continually attract and keep the best wrestlers.
This is what happens when you do an interview in the middle of a banquet. Now, as far as individually, what weight class do you think is the most wide open in terms of 4, 5, 6 guys that could come out and win it? So D3 is known for some crazy things happening, like last year, for example.
Yeah, I think 133 is one where it's hard to say what's going to happen there. I mean, there's a number of guys that I think can come in and do well. I mean, a lot of them are highly seeded. And also 141, I know there was a question before the brackets came out who was even going to be the top seed, thanks to some of the regional results and that kind of thing, and having a returning national champ. So those are weights where I think there's numerous guys that can come in and win. I mean, those aren't the only ones. There's a few others where you wouldn't necessarily say that the top seed is a runaway favorite, but those are two that I think a lot of different things can happen. Just again, like I said before, you got to have a good day, good 2 days.
What's the most exciting thing about the Division III championships from a fan or a coaching perspective? Either or, why do wrestling fans need to pay attention to this event?
Well, the quality of wrestling here is so high, and I think fans may underestimate the quality of wrestling at this level. and not understanding what we have here, especially at the national tournament, is it's a tournament that only has 16 guys in the weight, so this is the cream of the crop. And
with 90 schools.
yeah, 90 schools, 160 wrestlers at this tournament, so it's a chance to see really the best of the best. Everybody who's here has definitely earned the spot, and with a 16-man bracket, there aren't a lot of guys who...
D3wrestle.com, go!
Shout out to Dave Kemmy.
There aren't a lot of guys here who don't have a chance to place. And I think that's a big difference between the Division III and the Division I tournament. With 33 guys in a weight at Division I, there's a significant number of guys that don't have a realistic shot to place, and that's different here.